So if you're thinking about getting a Category A electric sedan, you have a few options like the BYD Seal, the Ioniq 6, and this, the 110 kilowatt Cat A Model 3. So which one would you pick? Let's find out. Now, in case you haven't watched the full review on the Model 3 long range, you can click up here or up here. But today we'll be taking a look at this Cat A option. So, driving the Tesla 110 rear-wheel drive, what does it feel like? Well, it feels like a Tesla. The Highland update is nice, right? But of course, immediately the power is a little bit less, your torques are a little bit less. But that's to be expected because this is the Cat A model after all. First with the Ioniq 6, and then the Tesla, which was quite the game changer because Tesla famously previously don't do marketing. So it was really interesting to see Tesla put out a model that was catered to the Singapore market, which is the 110 kilowatt, which is Cat A. If you compare it, very similar. Seal, you have your 100 kilowatt, and then your Ioniq 6 Cat A. It's also all very similar in prices, similar in power, but there are slight differences. If you ask me, I feel like the Ioniq 6 is quite a bit more refined. I feel like the Seal is a bit more tech focused. You get things like your giant screen here, but not just the screen. It's in terms of UI, UX, this is quite nice to see. And of course, there is that ever-lingering full self-driving when it finally does come to market. But otherwise, it is like a regular Model 3. Of course, you are sans stalks, so you don't have your stalks. Your signal buttons are on your steering wheel. Your gear shift has also disappeared. It's either up here or on the screen. And then your high beam button also, no more stop, it is right here along with your wiper. So another little thing that I've come to realize with the lack of the stalks are, with a button right here, with a one-click button for your high beam, if you're the kind of people that like to use the high beam to annoy people, I don't know why you exist, but if you are, this would probably be the car to get because this button is one of the easiest ways, the fastest high beams I've ever achieved. Like if you just listen to the clicker, like that's how fast you can press the button. I'm not high beaming the guy, I was just playing the signal. But so in that sense, it's that same old Tesla thing that when they first came out with the Model 3, right? A lot of the gripes were not so much that it's an electric car, but rather that it doesn't feel like a car. It's like if IKEA put out a car and things are different. They're not bad, they're different. Like right now, I really like all this fabric interior. The ambient LED really does something to bring it back to a little bit carness. But then the missing buttons, are they better? Are they worse? I think that's for another time. But the discussion today is, if you are looking for a Cat A electric sedan, that's of course not the Ion ES today, which one do you have? And some will be quick to mention that if you're looking in terms of value, in terms of OMV, the Tesla of course is the best value for your money because it is by far the best OMV, the least premium money that you're going to spend for the car. In terms of OMV, this is going to be the closest to your dollar value because that's Tesla's philosophy as well. They say that they're not so much profiting on the traditional dealership model. They want to profit off you having the car, and of course it's full self-driving. And when they have an entire network of superchargers, that's how they want to profit off of you. But for things like buying a car, things like servicing a car, if you don't have to pay enormous amounts of premium to get a car that you want, i.e. a car that's very high in OMV with a lot of tech, with all your sensing the truck right here, cameras all around, Sentry mode, right? Then you will get the Tesla. But how many times do you go to a car showroom and say, bring me a car with the highest OMV? That is an interesting thing to point out. I don't think it's as useful as it is practical because if you go to a chicken rice shop and they tell you this chicken rice is $7, you're not going to ask them, how much did the chicken rice cost you? Is this chicken rice $6 or is it $7? For the most consumers, the thing that matters in the end is just the sticker price. So another thing that I want to point out about the Model 3 is that currently in this Cat A 110 kilowatt, you're losing out on your drive mode selection, or rather how hard you want your power delivery to be, as well as your regenerative braking settings. If you go over to dynamics within the menu, all you're going to see is steering wheel and then auto shift out of park. So Tesla says that this is because this Cat A Model 3 is already the relaxed version, so your power delivery is already a little bit relaxed. And I understand that, it makes sense, but it's also a matter of when the Seal has it, the Seal 100 kilowatt still has your sports driving mode as well as your relaxed driving mode and regenerative braking settings. And you also see them inside the Hyundai Ioniq 6, which has, of course, sports drive mode as well as level 1, 2, 3 and 0 regenerative braking. So when everyone else still has that and you've taken that out, seems kind of a little bit womp womp. Another thing about comparing the Model 3 to the Seal and the Ioniq 6 is that the Model 3 develops a lot of its own tech. The Model 3 develops a lot of its own systems. So things like this tablet right here, it's really high refresh rate, it's really sharp, and it's not based off something someone else is using. So the maps, if you want to have to use navigation, you're going to have to use the one that's based inside. On the plus side, it's really sharp, it refreshes really quickly, and it'll integrate with the rest of the car. But on the downside, when everybody else is also using Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, not having this, or rather when you're driving a Tesla, you're going to be resigned to having to use this. If you compare it to the UI UX within the Seal, I'd say this looks a lot better. The Seal has the Chinese problem of looking a little bit unrefined, and if you use the one within the Hyundai, it's going to be very familiar. Things are going to be exactly as you expect them, and it's going to be very familiar with the rest of the Hyundai cars. So this is just something little to consider. So I would say you're not really thinking about the price at that point. You're not really thinking about the features because a lot of it are very similar in their own sense. So I would say that if you are going for something more premium, something with more legacy, something that you want people to, that's a nice car, I would go for the Hyundai Ioniq 6. If you want something that's a little bit more gangster, something a little bit more fun to drive, something you can throw into the corners and yank it out of the corners, I would go for the BYD Seal. If you want something that's a little bit more futuristic, a little bit more avant-garde, a little bit more spaceship type, kind of like all that Tesla and all that Elon, then I will go for this, the Tesla Model 3. And that's why I think for this, for me, it's a go try. So that's it. That's our review of the Tesla Model 3 110 kilowatt. What do you think? Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Let us know down in the comments below, as well as any other car that you'd like to see us try out. Do leave it in the comments and I'll read every single one of these. Now, if you've made it this far, don't forget to like, share and subscribe and hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any of our future videos. Lastly, do follow us on TikTok. We are at Sgcarmart. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.